It's Friday, May 6th, 2022, and this is Den Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. I'm Dennis, and I'll be your host as we review the latest Marvel happenings across all media, as well as other superpowered stories that came across, our attention, whatever. And when I say we, I'm referring to my youthful co-host, Ricky.
When do I stop being youthful?
Well, you were wonderful before, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. When you stop being youthful, probably when you're no longer the new target demographic for these movies that we watch.
Okay.
Yeah,
so soon.
you'll it's soon. It's soon. Yeah. Like I'm right there. I'm like right on the edge of like, I don't know if these are for me anymore. But welcome back. We're doing this again as we always do.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is like episode like 64 or something like that, man.
Oh, we got to do the 69 special when that happens.
All right, we'll figure that out. We do have a special guest that I want to get out here right now because he's going to make this fun. And in backstage, right before the show started, you upset him quite amount, and I just want to get him introduced here. Not only is he in a select group of nerds that I can trust to do the homework assignment of a double feature for the show, but he also wants you to know that he saved a lot of money on car insurance. It's Travis.
What it do, gentlemen?
What up?
Welcome back.
I did save a lot. My lady pays our insurance, so technically I'm not paying anything. You know what I'm saying? So
well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're welcome to share more, but just know that we may or may not be sponsored by Geico. No, we're not.
This is the general podcast.
We're not. No.
What were we talking about before we got in here? I kind of want to finish that.
Oh, I want to let Travis finish that again. He was proposing a movie to be made.
I was saying, man, okay. I did want to caveat this because I don't want your audience to miss out on the full conversation. I did say that I was under the influence when I had this epiphany. Now, it doesn't mean this is bad. It just means that, that's how things worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Gunn writing and directing a Lobo movie. And Ricky said,
that's dumb.
Actually, you said meh, but now you're changing it to that's dumb.
Well, okay.
So not only did he double down, he went harder in the paint.
I don't know shit about Lobo except for he was in Injustice, right? Part 2. He was a DLC character. He has the bike. I feel like he's on the same verge of like a Deadpool in terms of the edginess that he brings.
Well, he was Deadpool before Deadpool.
Thank you. Oh my god. Just the fact that you said that makes me want to like yoke him. Like, come on, dog. Like that. Yes, that's Deadpool. Deadpool is Lobo, except not as dope.
Like, he has like the skull on his junk, right? And he has red eyes. He has like a biker vest, and
he is an intergalactic. He's an intergalactic bounty hunter who cannot be killed because he regenerates.
I saw the Boba Fett show about the same dude, and it wasn't that good.
I don't think that was that show. Hey, I'm noticing the comments are starting to go off. So really quick, I am going to stop or pause this just to get some formalities out of the way before we start addressing people. As advertised on this show tonight, we'll be putting 2 spotlights on multiple Marvel projects. It's a double feature. We're going to be talking about the series finale or season, depending on who you talk to, season finale of Moon Knight. And then we'll also be talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which just came out yesterday. So we're saving that for last for anybody who's afraid of spoilers and stuff. Don't worry. You can tune out. We'll give you fair warning. But before we get to both of those, we will be having a little bit of nerd news, I think Ricky's got for us. And we'll be playing a quick round of trivia. Ricky's shaking his head no at news. He's like, oh, there's no news. Nothing at all. And then for those of you joining us live who's already in the audience, not being shy, thank you. We'll be checking the comments regularly. So, keep it up. And just make sure, please, no spoilers. I'm cool with opinions. Let's just not put spoilers in the comments because, that sucks. And if you can't get enough of us, you should visit patreon.com/GenXmedia, where you'll find a variety of creator offerings, including recent episodes of our live after show, The Soapbox. Patrons get exclusive access to chat with us, but if that's not your thing, don't worry. We'll be releasing it to the public next week. There, I got all that out of the way. That was a mouthful. With that said, I do want to welcome some people in the audience that I'm just seeing right now before we get talking some more. We got DarkSage9117 saying, I'm going to give an unpopular opinion of the MCU, if I may. You may. Oh man, he already did. And then before I get to his next one, I will say hi to Joel Benjamin, who was here on our show recently. And he said, Fincher doing Ghost Rider. That's interesting. I like that suggestion. I don't know if I like that more than Travis's suggestion. But let's see this unpopular opinion before we get back to Deadpool versus Lobo, which would be the best one. And I should have probably screened this one before I posted it, but here we go. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. We'll just say the biggest mistake Disney and Marvel made, I'm quoting Darksage, by the way, was chasing the casual fans. As an avid comic book reader, I feel they should give the characters exactly how they are and only change them if absolutely needed, like they did with Thanos and his story arc. Casual fans only stick around when something is popular, and this approach will be their downfall. I would agree with you that is an unpopular opinion. I would. It's as an avid comic book reader and somebody who's been collecting comic books since I was a little boy. I really enjoy the fact that there is content now that's appealing to casual fans, so that I can finally come out of my nerd closet and talk to people that wouldn't normally engage with me on that. And if they want to know more, I can redirect them to comic books and say, here's the real thing. If you want to know, like if you want to call it the real thing, whatever. But I don't really want to do that. I think whatever people like, whatever resonates with them, whatever makes them feel, whatever makes them connect to characters that are inspiring, let them. Don't be mad about it. There's different flavors for everybody.
There wasn't Marvel going to go out of business 22 years ago, right?
They had filed for bankruptcy in the 90s.
I would assume at that point they were all about the comic fan, the hardcore, the legacy people. But they're not going to sustain your business, man. That's just the fact. You want to have $1 million movie? Cool. You want to have $1 billion movie? You need the casuals. You need everybody to watch that movie. So you got to paint the broadest swath, that you can to get all that money.
I want to hear what Travis has to say about this.
I think you're both right.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is, I think Darksage has a point. And I think you have a point too. I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and it seems like the movies now are breeding like their own sort of sage or like movies in and of themselves are continuity, right? Mm-hmm. Just like and the comics are too. And so, and you made a great point when you said, the real thing, if you want to know more, read this, but who's to say which one is right now?
Right. Exactly.
Because it's almost like, when you see your movie, and it says based on a true story, right? The based on the true story is friggin', your comic or whatever, right? So I think there's I think there's an interesting middle ground here, and and actually that is gonna. This is perfect as far as the comment is concerned, because it is going to serve the basis for all my arguments or my positions through this entire night. So strap in.
I agree. Yeah. And and I do feel, that there's a hit or miss kind of quality to a lot of the content that we talk about and stuff. But here's the thing, I was thinking about this just from the bigger perspective of I always praise Marvel for they took their comic book system, the system they had in place for decades, and they just applied it to movies, right? And that's what we've seen here over the last 27 movies. I don't know how many it is, right?
27.
Yeah. And so what's really funny about that is comic book fans are very opinionated. I, being one, know that for sure. And I know that I get very opinionated when I don't see depictions or recreations of a character that I think I know. But here's the reality, though, that most comic book fans did not start from the beginning. Most comic book fans do not read, Detective Comics number 31 when it came out in 1930s, and then they're on board for every single Batman story that's ever been written in the history of time. It's not what happens. What happens is you pick up Frank Miller's Dark Knight one day and you say, that is Batman. Or you pick up Jeff Loeb's Long Halloween and you're like, that is Batman. Every character that you love in comics has a defining moment for you, the reader. And so what that means is everybody actually has a different idea of what that character is. What creates fandom is when you get a lot of people that all agree on the same idea. But what creates toxic fandom is when those people all decide that there can be no other way. That's the danger, right?
So I think you made some excellent points. I agree with everything you just said. I mean, that's exactly what we're dealing with now in this in this fandom, and it's crazy, right? And I think sometimes if I could put this in food terms almost, right? You ever see a sommelier drink a glass of wine and all the things that they do? They say, oh, it has this fruity tone and it's this, and the berries were picked and so on and so forth, right?
Some people just want to get drunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it. They'd be like, yo, man, this wine is the bomb, right? And that's it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're dealing with. And the problem is that our sommelier tendencies are killing people because some people just want to get drunk.
That's life advice right there. Just don't yuck someone else's yum.
Thank you.
You can like different things, and that's cool.
I know I do it sometimes, especially to Ricky, and it feels good in the moment, obviously. But at the end of the day, we started podcasts together because I was fascinated by the fact that this person that's blood related to me can actually think that the Star Wars prequels are the best Star Wars, and I wanted to kill him at first, but then I was like, you know what? He comes from a different point of view, and it's fine. It's fine because
mercury poisoning too.
Yeah, exactly. Mercury. But the thing that we should be
out.
The thing that we should be respecting is that we like Star Wars. You know what I mean? We can both like Star Wars, and we just like different things about it. So I see the MCU as something that I'm not as tethered to, but I like it because it's accessible to so many people. And I do this show because I know that so many more people now know what a Moon Knight is or who Doctor Strange is and stuff like that. And I couldn't have done this show in a way that actually, was entertaining for more people if it was just us talking about the latest issue of a comic book that came out yesterday, you know what I mean, or Wednesday.
That's very true.
Yeah. We just either
So
lost Dark Sage as a fan, or
I
we
know,
turned his whole life around.
but you know what, Dark Sage, I appreciate you sharing the opinion, and I'm happy to give you the platform here to share it, because like
Mhm.
I do understand you and I feel for you, man. Like I've been there. I have wanted so badly for things to be done differently in movies, and but like I won't ever stop advocating for the casual fan, though. I won't do it because like my wife was somebody who wasn't a fan at all when I first met her, when I started dating her. And I'm so happy now that like she wants to go see these movies with me, and she gets it. She follows the storyline, and I don't have to shove, a bunch of like dirty old comic books in her face to make her like, that are really dated, by the way. I challenge you to go read the stuff from like the 90s and tell me, like, name a good female character that was ever depicted in any of those. Like, it's gross. Like, it's really gross to go back and read your old comics. So, like, I like the
They're all
MCU
sticky.
because, yeah, they're sticky too. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the point.
Jim Lee Psylocke, sticky comics.
But that's the point, though, right? Is that everybody should love just the fact that we love this universe,
Yeah,
right? And everyone can have their own thing. And also, this is a very this is a very important point. Just because it's a comic doesn't make it great. Because man, have I suffered through some sucky comics, right?
yeah,
So
man,
just because you're a
exactly.
comic book doesn't make you law, and like it
Yeah,
doesn't, because sometimes some
Hmm.
comics suck.
Like
yeah,
the MCU as a whole wouldn't be where it's at without the casual fan. Like, you do the big Avenger movies, right? That's your first phase. But here we are, 20 something movies later. We got the Moon Knight show. We have the fourth Thor movie coming out. We have a Black Panther movie. Like, it opens the door so you can get all the toys. Like,
yeah,
that's all we
yeah,
really want.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah, I agree. But I appreciate the conversation. It was like a nice little icebreaker to get us warmed up.
Mhm.
We can talk more about this for sure. And if not on this episode, we can talk about it tonight on the soapbox and more. But I think we should do whatever news Ricky has prepared for us.
I really, there wasn't really anything. Like, it's literally all Doctor Strange and Moon Knight news. What a shocker. The only little tidbit I found that I think we missed it last week was Terry Crews is
Come
going to
on
be in
now.
that Guardians of the Galaxy ride, their new roller coaster at Epcot. He's a Nova Commander.
Of course.
Nice.
So there's your newest addition to the not MCU, whatever ride verse they call it.
Okay.
I don't know what to make of Terry lately, so I'll just say, solid, man. Go ahead, do your thing.
Nice.
He's an interesting cat.
That's it. Like, honestly, did you see anything that popped your interest, sparked your interest?
That was all the news you had, huh?
You had something better?
No, I leave this to you. This is your part of the show, man.
I did all of 20 minutes of digging, and it shouldn't take me more than 5 to find Marvel news in a week. So
Gotcha. I won't argue with you. I don't know, Travis. Do you have any nerd news that's come out recently that has tickled your fancy?
Nerd news? No. I mean, really, like, this week has just been like a deluge of nerd things that have been coming at me, like in between, like, some really good like episodes of Star Trek, a new Star Trek starting up, like then there's, Halo finally had an episode that I didn't hate, and then you got obviously Moon Knight just, wrecking it. And then, Doc Strange. I mean, this was like a week for just media that I just thought was just like manna from heaven. So no, I wasn't paying attention to any news aside from, this one breaking news: Joel Benjamin still sucks. I mean, that's other than that,
That's interesting. He has an unpopular opinion too. The Last Jedi still sucks. Actually, that's a popular opinion, just not popular with me. That's my favorite one.
He's always wrong.
I know he is. He is always wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, if that's all the news you got, Ricky, I mean, we can either move along with a game, or I could ask you guys what, I know Travis just listed a lot of what he's been nerding out on. Really quick before we move on, Ricky, what do you got? You got anything you've been nerding out on this week?
What did we watch this week? I watched that show on Netflix where the little baby goes and gets the errand. They run the errands. Japanese show. Oh, okay. It's like the greatest thing ever. So it's like a Japanese reality show where they take like a 2-year-old and they make it run an errand like in town. So it's like, hey, go get this money from the bank, and this little baby just goes and does it. It's the cutest thing ever. But aside from that,
How you sending the babies out and about in town?
It's Japan, first off. So the
car I've been to Japan.
The car situation and the sketchy people situation, I would say, are a little lower there.
I gotta tell you something here, Ricky. Never do pitch meetings. I think you just failed your first pitch meeting because it is too confusing. Too confusing. I don't.
Baby running errands, the show. It's like not in it's like in countryside Japan.
Apparently, you've got a fan who agrees with you. Yeah. +1. This show is great.
I'm straight up watching that later.
By the way, that was Lindsay, and she had some really amazing hot takes on Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. I invited her to be on the show with us tonight, but she respectfully declined because she felt like it was just going to take away from the awesomeness of Travis. But I expect her fully to share all of her hot takes when we get there in the comments, so that you can still respond to them.
That's what the show's called.
The show is called Old Enough, apparently, that you guys are talking about.
Okay.
Anyways,
that's a dope picture, Lindsay, by the way.
Yeah. Did you do the news intro? Did we see it? I didn't even.
No, I didn't even play it.
You didn't even play it, man?
I honestly, I was shocked there wasn't even at least one little nugget of news aside from the movies this week.
Fine. If I find news while we're doing stuff here, it's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be awkward. All right, let's move on. Let's get a game going really quick, so that I can say that I've fully entertained my guest here for the night. All right, we're doing the Contest of Champions, which nobody else owns for certain. I know I've prepared some crazy ones for you in the past, where I like make you guess, based on pictures, or guess their origins or the names or whatever. It's a little complicated, and I was like, I want to do something fast, so I'm gonna bring back the thing we did a couple weeks ago with Joel and Eric. We're gonna do Was that 2 weeks ago? I did say a couple weeks ago, so that is 2.
Fair.
Hey, I don't see you making games for this show, by the way. I don't even see you making news for this show right now.
That's news.
Yeah, so we're doing it again. I'm going to give you 60 seconds on the clock. I have a specific super powered comic book character in mind, and you have to guess it. Each of you gets a turn. I'm gonna let Travis go first, and you basically can ask me as many yes or no questions as you want in the allotted time, and then just to be courteous, after the 1 minute, if you still haven't guessed the character, I'll let you get one more guess. You ready? Yep. Travis is going first. Ricky's gonna shut up. Anybody in the comments is welcome to chime in, but I'm not necessarily going to answer you. All right, here we go. I'm going to start the clock. Yes or no questions only. All right. 3, 2, and 1.
Is he an alien?
No.
Is it male?
No.
Is she white?
Yes. That's a double question.
Is she a mutant?
No.
Is she part of a team?
Yes.
Does she have superpowers?
Yes.
Do they make her invisible?
Yes.
Is she Sue Richards?
No.
Is she... Oh, Jean Grey.
No. You can have. Sorry, I'll turn that.
Oh, that
is
got loud quick.
That is loud as hell. Let me turn that off for the next time. All right, I'll give you one more chance to guess. I don't think you're gonna get it based on your guesses so far, but
White superhero in a team. Female superhero.
Yeah, white female superhero in a team, and her powers can make her invisible. And she isn't Sue Storm, and she isn't Jean Grey.
You're saying any comic though, right? Not just Marvel, Dennis.
I mean,
it would be tacky for it to be DC, but whatever.
Oh, he
Would
pulled that last time.
Yeah, no,
Would it-
not
would
necessarily.
it-
No,
would
well, I
it
guess
be?
not. On a mostly Marvel podcast, maybe.
it's mostly Marvel.
We had no news, so not yet.
I have no clue.
Oh, we're gonna go with Raven.
Son of a bitch.
She can be invisible?
She can be a
Yes.
lot of different things.
Really?
She can be everything.
Huh.
Yep.
And she's a Titan.
And she is a Titan. And I was trying to be.
That's cold-blooded because I'm a DC fan.
I know, and
You're
that's
wrong
why
for that.
I was quite
white?
shocked.
Isn't she like a demon?
You can be a white demon.
I mean,
Do you think she's not a white girl?
she looked pretty tan.
That's
there.
a good question, actually. Is
She's-
Raven white?
Yeah.
She's
white.
whitish. She's whitish enough.
Are you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I get
Define
that.
whiteness,
I get
Dennis.
She dyes her hair purple. That's a white girl.
No comment.
Okay. I'm not wrong. All right. Next up. Good try, Travis. I'm sorry I threw you off. Ricky knew I knew Ricky was feeling that. You just like surprisingly, like last time we played this, everybody was pretty quick to ask about DC or Marvel or whatever. Like, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't. I wanted to give you the chance to just go to whatever universe you wanted to, and it let you down. I'm sorry. Okay. I do got one for Ricky, which I'm happy to do because last time I accidentally screwed it up for Ricky, and he didn't get to see. He didn't get to see the game. So
it's sort of like the news, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I accidentally showed him the answer before it was time for the stopwatch, and I felt bad because I ruined it.
No, okay.
All right, Ricky, you ready?
Alrighty. I'm ready.
And I think you know what questions to ask just to be safe. I think so, right?
I think so.
All right. Okay, hold on. I'm just getting my stopwatch ready. Here we go. All right, Ricky, you got 3, 2, and 1.
Is it Marvel?
Yes.
Is it a superhero?
No.
Is it a supervillain?
Yes.
Is this supervillain featured in any of the movies in the past 20 years?
Yes.
Is this primarily a Captain America villain?
No.
Is this primarily an Iron Man villain?
No.
Is this villain a doctor?
No.
Is this villain an alien?
No.
Oh shit. Is this villain a male? Did I ask
Yes, I think so. No, you did not ask
Okay.
that.
that? Is this Ultron?
No, I wouldn't know that I would answer that question confidently if it was.
Oh, fuck. Is it shit. Featured in the movie, past 20-year villain, male. Is it Ulysses Claw?
No.
Okay.
I will give it to you. And I'm really bummed you didn't get there, Ricky. You were so close. I felt like you were close. But here, sorry, I have to share one screen and then the other. Where is he? Oh, here it is. Here he goes, Ricky. It's
okay.
Apocalypse.
Yep. That piece of shit.
In Summoner himself.
Played by none other
Isaacs.
than
That
Oscar
man really
Isaac.
gets typecasted.
Yeah, I just kind of thought you might get there since we had joked about it a couple times in recent weeks. But man, I guess I just made a game that was too hard for both of you guys.
I know. Game master over here.
I was in the wrong multiverse.
That was the most I've heard Ricky swear in a 60-second video. That's what Lindsay had to say.
We actively try to forget that movie, right?
And then also, Lindsay mentioned earlier, I just learned about Raven's white form, and that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was a lot of swears. I was too busy trying to pay attention to your questions, so I wasn't actually listening to the swears. I got a little hung up on the alien part, but I'm fairly certain he is the first mutant and he was born on this planet. He just happens to have a space. He has a spaceship that makes it awkward. It makes it awkward.
Yeah, that makes it really weird.
Yeah, but I believe he is from this planet. The alien question almost it kind of threw me off on Raven too, but I just decided to go and say no. I said no. I mean, depends on what you define as alien, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Sabanor was born in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt almost 5,000 years ago. So
okay,
yeah, non-alien. There you go. All right, cool. What do you think? Did you like that one or no? Or do you feel pretty screwed by that game?
Oh, I was robbed. Oh yeah. You know, I can't see. Look, you're enjoying it.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, he enjoys it.
I'm not gonna lie. Halfway through our conversation earlier, I almost changed yours to Lobo, just to make you feel really bad. I almost did change it to Lobo, but I was like, I can't go searching the stuff while I'm doing this. So, yeah. Sorry,
Ricky. You need to do your Lobo homework though.
Yeah. I mean, send me some cool Lobo stuff.
Okay.
I'll seek out some Lobo knowledge.
Okay.
Be sure to send in the time when Lobo changed gender.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'll watch Lobo.
No, it's still Lobo. I'm pretty sure it was still Lobo.
He even sounds like Boba Fett. Lobo.
No.
Bobo.
Really. Two syllables. Two syllables is you're getting hung up on two syllables. It's pretty hilarious. All right. I think we've waited long enough. It's time to put a spotlight on Moon Knight. Let's go.
All right.
Ricky,
I'm finding it. Caught me off guard.
I did catch you off guard, huh? I just wanted to get the show moving. I think Travis has a lot of things he wants.
We got a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah. So as a reminder, like I said earlier, we're going to talk about Moon Knight first because it was probably a lot easier for everybody to get a chance to go watch that before coming to check out our show live. Mm-hmm. We'll save Doctor Strange for later in the show. But, for anybody out there that has not seen the latest episode, spoiler warning, if you haven't watched it yet, please turn away now and come back when you have, or skip this part and come back and watch Doctor Strange part later, whatever you want. I put chapters in the YouTube video later on anyway, so you can always come back. You'll thank us later. Promise. Mm-hmm. All right. So for those of you that did choose to ignore the warning, here's a quick summary. The episode was titled Gods and Monsters. Unless you watched it on the first day, it just said episode 6. It was pretty hilarious. I think it was an error on Disney Plus's side, and I was reading way too much into that title of the episode. I was like, "Whoa, is it like a psychic episode? Like, you know what I mean? Like, whoa, that's really
There'll be a secret episode.
It's very meta that they're calling it his 6th episode, and then I found out that was just a bug on their part. But yeah, the really simple synopsis of that episode was: as Moon Knight joins the fray, Mark, Steven, and Khonshu must work together to stop Amit. I thought that was weird because they kind of left out Anne Layla. And I felt like Anne Tower Wet. I can't say her name. I can't. Taweret. I'm going to say it better. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a really simple write-up that I didn't feel that did the episode justice. But I want to get our guest's opinion first. What did you think of this episode and overall the season of Moon Knight?
Well, I feel like I would be like remiss in not like pointing out like I hate Moon Knight. Now,
Strong word.
Well, see, once again, we were talking about like, you know, the Bible, which is the comic, you know, versus something else that is, you know, all other forms of entertainment. Like, which one should you hold up and say this is the ultimate expression of that idea? I love the Moon Knight series.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I thought of Moon Knight as like this like bad version of Batman, you know, and you know, and the whole time I'm like, who walks around trying to avenge the night? Dressed in all white. Are you crazy?
A lot of people in Mississippi, yes, a lot of people.
Yeah, true. So in any case, for me, I mean, that was like the ultimate sort of vindication, I think, for, you know, for that intellectual property, to actually get someone who not only did not like it, but actively hated it.
Yeah.
To go, damn, this series is dope. So I want to start there.
I feel you. I was mentioning last week, and I think I mentioned to you, Travis, that this show inspired me to actually want to go read the comics. I kept putting it off and putting it off. I finally got around to it last week. I read every #1 of Moon Knight ever. I read all of them. There was like 7 of them, I think. He's on volume 7, I think, now. Plus, I read some extra stuff. I read his first appearance in Werewolf by Night. I read, and then I read this really fun one called Moon Knight versus the Avengers in Avengers #33. And I got to see generation after generation of his origin story kind of retold over and over again. No one of them is a Bible, by the way. And I hope to God nobody really lives and swears by the original ones, because they're so much worse. It just kept getting better and better and better. But honestly, they were kind of all trash. They kind of were all trash compared to the show. I felt the show was the only version of his story that actually responsibly told the story about social like dissociative disorder. I also thought the stereotypes that were presented and the cultural appropriation in the comics was a little awkward too. And by a little, I'm being kind. And so like it was really fun to watch this show. I never really loved the character Moon Knight. I love that somebody had the balls to make him, and I love that Marvel never shunned away from the character, because they just embrace all their stupid, you know, like they really are about that. They'll sell you 18,000 issues of Howard the Duck because they want everything. Like they want to put out as much content out there that somebody might like it, you know? So I appreciate that there are Moon Knight fans out there that you and I have both upset, but I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. The show is better. Do
you think it's the medium that lends it? Like, and not how to phrase this. A comic book is a very static thing. You know, you can have a beautiful picture of of expression on his face, but it's still a stagnant image.
No, I don't
Versus
think
being
not
able to see that
I don't think it's the
emotion
medium.
in this.
It's the medium. It's not the
Mhm.
medium. Because like when I just to clarify, I said I read all the number ones.
Mhm.
The number ones are starting points. You know what I mean? And they are definitely tailoring to a different audience each time. You know what I mean? Like you have the original ones going to like 1980, and then the most recent one was like 2017. Or no, there's a new one that's actually coming out right now, 2022. When I say they're all trash, I mean like they got better, and like I would read the more current ones, you know, to learn more about the character. But I'm saying that the comics still feel like beholden to certain aspects of the original origin
Mhm.
that the show doesn't feel as beholden to. And because of that, the show felt unchained and allowed to just be its own thing. And really, even in the MCU, it barely even tried to connect to anything else. Do you
It
know what I
really
mean? Like,
didn't. I think that's
I
why
don't think
I enjoyed it more than I
yeah,
thought I
well,
would, because it's really it's in its own lane completely.
I
yeah,
don't. Well, see, that's that's the part of this that is friggin' beautiful, right?
Mhm.
Is like honestly, there's so much about that show that is cerebral
yeah,
that it just blows my mind when I think about it, right? Like at the end of the day, did any of that happen?
yeah. It happened. I know it did.
How is there's no grounding of anything? Like, did you hear
The
anything about
the
the Avengers? Did you hear anything about? Did you hear anything about?
Well, to
You
Travis's
see what?
point, that's one of my nitpicks. Like, you're telling me two fucking giant gods are fighting in Egypt, and like,
well, we don't
someone doesn't show up.
well,
Like,
we didn't get the epilogue. We don't get to see what happened right after that. You
mhm.
know what I mean? We weren't presented news stories or anything like that. So we don't know about any of that. Like we don't know.
Yeah,
And Mark was basically dead 5 minutes after Khonshu did his crazy like let's move the stars thing, you know? So if the story's being told from Mark's perspective or Steven's, whatever, like we never got to see what was going on outside until
Mhm.
like this episode, right? And so it was pure
but
chaos though.
at the same time, if it is in the MCU and Kanshi moves the stars like that, Marvel has set such a tapestry now that
Mhm.
people will be like, "Damn." You know what
It's
I'm
true.
saying?
It's true. It was like that's what I was saying earlier on in the season is like for some reason when I read it in the comics, I never really stopped to think about, man, the people of this earth go through some shit. But when I watched the Eternals and then I watched Moon Knight and I watched Infinity War and Endgame, I'm like, what the hell?
It sucks living here.
These people that live on their version of Earth, they are just like ants, man. They're ants.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Everybody on
PTSD
Earth
ants.
has
Yeah.
PTSD. I mean, seriously, like who
Yeah.
wasn't affected by the snap,
I
right?
bet
Like
like insurance there
seriously,
is
these
hella high.
people.
I
Yeah, people are
I got
crazy.
I gotta say, like the snap in the grand scheme of things now is probably smaller potatoes than like everything that's come after the snap. Because at least the snap we learned was reversible. But then a giant eternal like knocked on Earth's door, and that's like, what is that? I don't even know what that did to the tides. What was the surf like that day? And then speaking of that, what was the surf like when Khonshu rewound the stars all in 5 minutes, 2,000 years or something like that? That was nuts. So yeah, and then he did it again at the end of the episode, or like the last episode, right? He's like, it's nighttime now, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like you can't, like you
Because you
can't.
have to. This was the most awkward conversation I had with my lady about Moon Knight because she's loving the series.
Mhm.
You know, she loves the series. And she said, like, what can he do? And I was like, damn,
Yeah,
baby, everything, right? Like,
he's a
and
god.
she was like, why? And I was like, well, he's actually, like an avatar of this god. So I guess if that god decides, hey, that'll be cool, then it happens, which lends itself
Mhm.
visually to some of the most stunning like pieces of action I have ever seen in a superhero movie. Like to have Mark and Steven like just blend between personas and outfits and
Yeah.
powers seamlessly as he just wrecks shop. Son, like, give me a break. That's why I was like, is it real? Like, you know what I'm saying? It just messed with me because I was like, this is too smooth to be real. Like, there's no
You got to get
way
this
this
dude
dude
off
is
the
this
board,
smooth.
right? Like he's
So I think the reason I just want to like 100% say that it's real is because of the post credit scene.
Yep.
The post credit scene was not told from the point of view of either of our narrators of the show. It was told from the perspective of this is Khonshu and Jake Lockley saying one last goodbye to Arthur Harrow. So it was told from Harrow's perspective, and because of that, I tend to believe I believe it's all real. You know what I mean? And there's more surprises in store for not only the audience but for Mark and Steven, because there's another guy they don't even know about.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a really brilliant job of teasing that character throughout the whole.
Jake does
all the click 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 clicks. You know, like that shutter, like that. That's when you knew.
Yeah,
like,
it was, and you wake up to like the most brutal like scene ever. Yeah.
Yes.
I also thought it was really ballsy, as much as like you were saying how much you loved the action scene. I thought it was ballsy that the lion's share of the actual resolving action.
Oh,
we just got skipped. It just got skipped. They're like, nope, you don't get to see that part. I'm like, you sons of bitches, that's amazing. Because it's such a nice callback to the first episode. It is how you save a lot of money, man.
No, you don't understand. No, that's how you actually keep your movie in the PG-13 realm. It's really
that
what's
too.
going on.
That too.
Oh yeah. Jake did a accessible crime. Like, you want to talk about that?
He did.
he
did
don't
some
mess
bad
around.
things. He did some bad things.
And my whole entire soul was there for that, right? Like, I was just like, this dude is the illest cat I have ever seen in the MCU. I mean, you know, seriously. Like, at one point, he just said, I just think I'm gonna fly. Okay. All right. You know, and I'm still like, is this real? Is this real right now? Do you see how I went through the motions here emotionally? I was like, come on, dog. Like, do you have that power? Or are you just tripping?
I feel you. I do understand that, because like my brain broke for a second when I saw him just Superman over to the action. I was like, I've never seen him do that. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, there are different times in the comics where like he's just entirely powered by the moon, and he can do whatever he wants. If like if there's moon, you know, like whatever the writer wants him to do is really what it is, you know. So I was like, you know what, Khonshu did make it nighttime for a reason, and so I'm just gonna go with it, because it's like, I'm not mad. I just like, you know, we usually talk about like we like to see power scale, like established and displayed,
right.
But I think they did, right? God, it's God, like God power. So really be careful, Avengers, when you finally meet Moon Knight, because you don't know, he might just hit you with a stick. He might just hit you with a stick, or he might just do God powers that you've never seen before. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
You don't know.
I mean, dude, but I'm seriously though, I defy you seriously to find another scene in the MCU where you seen just the ass whooping fully dispensed and wardrobe changes simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? You can't find that, dude. And I saw it and I was like, hang on, I need to rewind that, because that was the dopest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Is there anything, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we haven't talked about, like
yes.
Do you guys like, do you want to talk about the other characters, like Arthur or Layla?
Layla is like the standout, right? For me.
I was pretty impressed. I I was very happy that I stayed away from like spoilers and stuff. Apparently,
Mhm.
my wife had this spoiled for her like a week ago
She's
before
the
I did.
red scarab, right? Like
The
her
Scarlet Scarab.
Scarlet
Scarlet
Scarab,
Scarab.
like
You gotta have
their analog.
Yeah, you got to have alliteration, Ricky.
Mhm.
Always alliteration. But yeah, the Scarlet Scarab is actually a character that's from way back in the day. I guess not way back, 1977. So a little after Moon Knight.
Great. Apparently, I was born before, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, no, I knew that I had read the origin earlier, and it was a World War II character. So I assumed this character was created during World War
During the
II,
World
and
War II.
I'm like, oh no, it's a retcon World War II character. So
Yes.
I didn't. It's really not that back in the day. It's yeah, that would make me very old as well. But yeah, no, it's a character. His real name is Abdul Faul, and you know, a lot of people have been wondering about Layla El Faouli because, like, in the comics, his main squeeze is named Marlene. It's a white girl named Marlene that he happened to meet in Egypt because you just go around Egypt meeting white girls all the time.
Where the white girls are.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. And she's quite the trophy character. Like, she really has no purpose most of the time in every single number one I read, other than look sexy and feel bad when Mark dies and then feel happy when Mark wakes up and as the Moon Knight. She's a very blank slate character, and they really never added anything to her. And so when I realized that Layla was just like this hybrid of Marlene and another superhero that has the opportunity to stand for more and be more and everything, I'm like, hell yeah, that's cool. Like, I was very happy with that. Like, I there was one thing I wasn't happy with. I'm like, why does the hippo lady give Layla wings? Like, I don't like. Is
I mean,
the
if
hippo
Moon Knight
lady?
can fly, she can fly. They just all fly.
But Moon Knight flies with like a moon shaped cape. Come on, man. Hippos don't got no wings.
I mean,
You know what? Like, that's the thing about gods usually, is that they can appear however they like.
Yeah, we had an alligator with dreads. So, like,
you know, yeah, and the guy was just feeling hippo-y that day.
The dreads were cool because the dreads turned into its tail. That was really cool looking. Yeah. But Amit versus Khonshu, what are your thoughts?
It was a little weird. It was cool looking, but it was one of those things with, like, if that's going down. And
Well,
again, I know you don't have to explain it, but like, that seems like a pretty big event.
Nobody can see it, remember?
I thought they could.
No, the whole first episode showed you, or the second episode showed you, that only the people who they want to see these things can see them.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Except us.
I saw
you know. Yeah, us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why. I mean, don't get me wrong. When Khonshu picked up his staff and flipped over a car, people saw that. But yeah, I think it would have been interesting if they reminded us of that. But like, yeah. I knew that nobody was seeing that. And on top of that, everybody was a little busy getting murdered also at the same time. Like,
that's very true.
You know. And before we end this conversation, and we're not ending it right now, but I just want to point that out, by the way. Amit's followers were granted the power by Harrow to judge everybody all at once, right? And just in the city right next door. They'll eventually move on to the rest of the world. They killed so many people, and that show never resolved that, and I'm fine with it. That was cool, man.
Let people die.
Those people just got murdered. And how good did you feel if you were somebody who got chosen to live by Amit? You're like, I'm like, yeah, I might worship this god now. I don't know. Like, I saw a lot of people just die.
I think I'm gonna get right.
Yeah.
With Amit. Right with Amit.
That's the new Jesus right there, man. I don't know. Like,
because I wonder if, like, he accounts for, like, modern
just
sins,
canceling people.
Yes. They all died, and I didn't see Taweret make any plans to, like, fix that or talk to Osiris. I was hoping maybe a post-credit something. They're just dead.
Nah, that's dead. Cancel culture for real right there.
Dude, seriously. That was nuts, man.
Got rid of all the toxic people.
I guess. Yeah. I also really liked it, like, eventually, you know, at the end when Khonshu is like, do it, kill him, so they both die, and they can never do anything else again, you know. And he's like, you sound a lot like Amit right now, and I really appreciated that, because like there was always a very fine line between bringing his vengeance to those who would do harm to travelers of the night. My wife got so hung up on that, and she's not wrong. Why did he say bring vengeance to those who would do harm? Don't you have to
sounds
wait?
like prejudge. Yeah.
Don't you have to wait until they do harm first? So yeah, I think it's cool that Khonshu's really, is he really, I mean, that good of, I mean, obviously the post-credit scene paints a different picture there, where it's like, if you didn't already suspect Khonshu of being a shady individual,
Now
he
you
is.
know.
He is, yeah. And I highly, highly recommend, I was trying to find an image of it, but I highly recommend, Travis, if you ever want to read a really fun Moon Knight story, you go and check out, I think it starts on Avengers 35. It's one of the newer volumes, and it's called The Avengers versus Khonshu, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And basically you learn, like, after all these decades of Khonshu and Moon Knight teaming up to go do, you know, fight crime and stuff like that, you find out that Khonshu's ultimate plan is to take over the world. And he just empowers Moon Knight with all the things that you've never seen him do before, and he just goes and wrecks every mystical character one by one. It's so hilarious, dude. He whoops the shit out of the Iron Fist. He goes and steals all of Doctor Strange's powers.
What?
He goes to Ghost Rider, the new Ghost Rider's house, and freaking just steals his car.
Because why not? You know?
He just steals his car and drives off in a flaming car.
Wow.
And then he goes on the moon and waits, because the Avengers call Thor in for backup, and he just wrecks Thor. Like, I don't even want to spoil that for you, but like,
wow,
you need to read that comic. It's hilarious. And honestly, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because, you know, we've been having predictions all season long of like, where does this show go? Where does this show go? I want that. Like, when we started this show, I was like, man, can't you just wait to see the Moon Knight teaming up with the Avengers? And now I'm like, no.
Whip some ass.
I don't want that. I want Khonshu and Jake Lockley to be wrecking the Avengers while Mark and Steven are completely unaware of all the harm they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's hilarious.
Can I say also, like, the fact that I can say Mark and Steven and have the same image in my head, but completely different personalities.
Dude, Oscar Isaac was amazing.
Is the chef's kiss of an acting performance.
Yeah, that's why you go get them.
Like, holy shit.
They are two different people, and no MCU fan will ever argue that point. You know what I mean? Like,
and I will honestly think he will be robbed if he is not Emmy nominated.
Oh, dude, watching, you know,
if Don Cheadle can get one.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. Don Cheadle got nominated for his one episode in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh,
and it's like, what? You were in 5 minutes of that episode, bro. Yeah, no, I agree. I fully agree. I think didn't Wanda and Vision get nominated?
I think this, I don't know if them directly, but they're
I thought they did. I agree.
Whatever. I'm talking about your boy.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac. You know what? Oscar Isaac deserves 2 Best Actor nominations.
Please believe. I mean, you know, because the thing about it is, you know, look, we make video games. I always deconstruct, you know, because I'm fascinated with how things work, right? And so when I see something that I don't believe, my mind immediately starts deconstructing how you accomplish this, right? Because in some way, I feel like at some point I'm going to have to reproduce this in a video game, so I just need to figure out how it is. When Mark and Steven see each other at the end and accept one another
Yeah.
for who they are, what they are. Okay, it reminded me of like a real love story.
I
It,
see
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
like I remember watching this movie called, What Dreams May Come, when Robin Williams, his wife, commits suicide. He has to go down into hell to actually go, find a way to free her,
Yeah.
because she's imprisoned, herself emotionally, basically, and that's what hell was, in that story. And finally, he says, "You know what? I abandoned you in real life. That's what I did, and I'm not gonna do that. And so if I have to be down here in hell with you
Hmm.
for eternity, damn it, that's exactly what I'm gonna do." And how about that's exactly what happened in Moon Knight? And I was like,
Yeah. I feel ya, and and the funniest thing about that is like, uh, who doesn't get credit because we never got to see him. Osiris was the one that got hit in the feels,
"Yep,
and decided to save them and let them go. So that's a
yep,
character that we'll have to see it in another time, right? Like so.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I thought that was really cool that it's like a little soap opera playing out in front of Osiris's gate, and he's
yeah,
like, "That touched me, man," and then
yeah."
he just freed them.
Leaves the doors
He
open.
cracked the
Mhm.
door open and unsanded their asses. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was like, "Go ahead."
I thought that was really cool. I did have like before we move on to anything else, I did have some fun facts that I wanted to share with you about this episode that I thought were really cool. One, when the young girl asked Layla, are you an Egyptian superhero?" And she replies
Yes.
in her language and says, "I am." There's graffiti on the wall in the background, and I don't know if you noticed that, but
Mhm.
apparently it was translated from Arabic, and it says Khonshu is alive.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, I thought that was cool. But I also just like that scene. I like that moment because I really like just giving everybody representation and like everybody getting to feel what it feels like to have a superhero that represents you. It's
Mhm.
such an awesome thing. And I read that the director was like dancing all over the place when he did that scene. Another weird thing I learned from an interview with that actress that played Layla is it was down to the wire. Like it was like the last 30 minutes before shooting that he called an audible and asked her to play the superhero version of herself. It was actually going to be the actress that played Tawaret that was going to
Oh.
be the superhero version of her. And then in the final moments, like like while they're getting everything set up, they're like, "This is wrong. It should just be her." And so she was super excited because like the other girl worked with her like side by side. Like they would coach she would coach her on how they would handle it in this situation and stuff like that. But like it was a partnership with the two of them, and I thought that was really cool just to learn that. And then the other one that I wanted to give you guys is, I don't know if you caught the license plate. It was a little cheesy at the
Yep.
very end.
Yes. Yes.
The
Spectre.
Spectre limousine. I thought the way somebody wrote this was really cool, as a fun fact, which was the license plates read Spectre, symbolizing that no matter what free will Mark and Steven have, Mark will always be the vehicle of vengeance for Khonshu.
Hmm.
I don't know if I read it as
Yeah.
that,
That's
but
a little on the
That's
nose. I
a
like it
cool ass
though.
car,
I
right?
did like it. I did like it. It is I mean, it does speak to like where's the rich aspect, because in the comics Steven is the millionaire of the three of them, and like he funds the whole Moon Knight operation and stuff like that. So we'll see. But I will say this, like there is something to look forward to potentially, is if Khonshu decides to go and fight the Avengers or whatever, take over the world. There are versions of Moon Knight where he is abandoned by Khonshu, or he abandons Khonshu and still fights as Moon Knight. Obviously, it's at a weaker power level, but
Yeah.
I think that's cool that the character himself decides that there's value in continuing that mission, even if he doesn't share the same ideals as Khonshu. So I would like to see that in the future
What do
too for the
you
character.
guys want? Another Moon Knight show? Another Moon Knight movie?
I want him to
or
go
a
play
Moon
with
Knight
all.
movie.
I want him to play with all the toys.
So a movie.
I actually I don't see why those things have to be mutually exclusive though.
I don't think you get more than one of each out of Oscar Isaac. That's just me.
No way, dude.
I don't.
No.
Look, you're gonna get as much as like seriously, like Marvel's got bank. Like they're gonna be like, the kids love you, dude. You're in everything.
You always say these things, Ricky, and it's just like, what? Where do you get these?
I don't feel like you want them to. People would want to play for that long after coming off of Star Wars.
Nobody puts on a mummy wrapped superhero suit and says, "I only want to do this for a short amount of time." Come on, man,
dude. He was Apocalypse. No further questions.
He was Apocalypse, and then he still signed up to be Moon Knight.
Thank you.
He cares about this character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This guy is not. We're gonna get Moon Knight hanging out with Daredevil. We're gonna get Moon Knight hanging out with the West Coast Avengers. We're gonna get Khonshu,
Spider-Man contract pending.
Moon Knight hanging out with Raven.
Maybe. Once Disney buys Warner Brothers, it might happen. Who knows?
No.
So it's safe to say that everybody liked this episode and the show in general.
It's top half of the Disney Plus shows for me.
It was amazing. And I really love the fact that these weren't 30 minutes.
Yeah, although the last episode was like 42 minutes. It was pretty short. But yeah, I did like the length of each of them. I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah, I don't know, man. I if anybody is somehow watching this and has never watched Moon Knight, Frank, I'm talking to you. Check the show out, man. It's ridiculous. It's
such a it's so much in its own lane that it's you don't need to be invested in the other stuff.
I think that's one of the coolest things about it.
Jump on board.
It's a brand new jumping on point, right? Mm-hmm. Like eventually you'll have questions, but like when he ties into other stuff. But for right now, you can just watch that and be like, I'm a Moon Knight fan. You know?
I will say, I was talking about this with a friend of mine too, is that thank God for streaming now, because how would you have ever got this story out in any other way?
Oh, as a movie, this would have been awful.
It would have been an awful movie. It would have been a terrible movie. You know what I mean? And just the fact that you can have this long form now for these type of stories is like it's such a gift to all geeks. Out there. It really is. I feel like Marvel is our grown-up anime.
It's true. There was something I mentioned earlier that like not related to this, but I just wanted to get it out there before we switch subjects. I mentioned that the comics, like there was a lot of awkward cultural appropriation in there and stuff. And, Moon Knight is historically a white male that adopts all these Egyptian vestments and Egyptian cultures and all these things. And he hooks up with his girlfriend, who's the daughter of a archaeologist that's also robbing, tombs and stuff of all of their cultural significance and stuff like that. Really awkward, right? So like, I really like that this show found a way to say, okay, we'll embrace part of that, but if we're gonna do that, we're also going to cancel that out by giving a new character for heroes of that region and stuff. And so like, I really like that we got a Scarlet Scarab just out of the blue to balance out all the awkward things that Moon Knight is or could be to some people. And what it made me realize is like, this show is the better Iron Fist.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever put up with all 2 seasons of Iron Fist. Did you do it?
Oh, you asking me? Oh, I thought you were asking.
I didn't watch it.
I did. It was like you just kept hoping it
Yeah,
would
well,
somehow get better, and it was just
in
bad.
fairness, I think it kind of did get better at the very end, right? When they
Well, it
finally
couldn't have
said,
got worse.
yeah, yeah, well, but what I'm saying is, at the very end of 2 lengthy seasons of the story about this white guy that goes to a magical, mystical Far East land and becomes the master of a martial art, and is super cultural appropriated through the whole damn show. At the final end of the show, he realizes that he's not worthy of that power, and the Asian character Colleen Wing ends up being the new Iron Fist. And I was like, huh, I kind of wish the comics had did that a million years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
You
just,
gotta have the white dude on there. He sells
well,
books.
I was just like, that should have happened a long time ago because
Yeah.
his kung fu was trash.
It was
I was
trash.
like,
It was trash.
dude, yeah, like seriously, like,
Yeah.
come on.
So I appreciate that even though Iron Fist was a big miss, I appreciate that Marvel Studios was like, I think we can do something very similar but way better, and we'll do it with an equally disposable character, which is Moon Knight. You know, I'm just saying
It's very true.
there's a very the cross section of fans for Moon Knight and Iron Fist. It's probably all the same people.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's just there's not very many. It's like 5. I know Nas is an Iron Fist fan. I don't think he likes the Moon Knight though, so who knows? But anyways, I think we've talked enough about Moon Knight. We should probably go finish the night off by talking about Doctor Strange.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you wanted to lead it.
Oh no, that's fine. It's fine. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness just
movie times
came out.
here.
Movie times. It just came out in theaters yesterday. If we're doing the math, I think this is the is this the 5th Marvel movie to come out? Sorry, the 5th MCU movie to be released during the pandemic. If you even want to, call this the pandemic now, I don't know. People don't want to.
I mean, people were definitely not masked up in my theater, so.
But yeah, it's the 5th one to come out, and it's also just so happens to be the 5th MCU movie in Phase 4, correct? Mm-hmm. Because Phase 4 is all pandemic movies, I believe. I think Spider-Man: No Way Home was meant to be Phase 4, but then they decided to not No Way Home. I meant Far From Home. Far From Home was meant to be a Phase 4, and at the last minute, they're like, nope, it's Phase 3.
This is the first time we're doing a show on release? I don't think we've done that before.
We did it a few weeks ago, and that's when Frank quit the show because we watched Morbius.
Oh, yeah, we burned that card on Morbius. Fuck.
And funny is when we did it with Morbius, you were like, this is the first time we've ever done this. And then I was like, except for that time where we also did it with Black Widow.
But that came out like on a Thursday, right? Or on a Wednesday? Sorry, it came out on a weird day. I feel
we did it the same week that it came out.
Not the same. It hits different.
It hits different because it was yesterday versus 2 yesterdays ago. Mm-hmm. Anyways, if anybody stuck around for this stupid argument and has not yet watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, do yourselves a favor. Spoiler warning. We're going to spoil it right now. There's a lot to spoil, so please,
it's a lot to take in.
Please, if you haven't seen the movie, come back later and check this part out. We're just gonna blab away on all the geeky fan service spoilers right now. So, Travis, do you want be our guest? Talk about this movie. Kick us off. Tell us.
Set the bar. What you want to say. The tone.
If you don't do it well, I got your notes here. I'll share what you have to say.
So, like Moon Knight, okay, I don't know how much of this movie was bullshit and how much of it was real. Right?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Like bullshit story or bullshit in general?
Yes. Right? And so I'm left like and I know this sounds like incredibly nerdy and or geeky to say, but I straight up don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel right now.
I'm with you.
Should I be happy? Should I be sad? Should I be scared? Should I, what the hell's going on up in this motherfucker? Like, I don't,
We're
I
the
don't
dog
get
who
it.
caught the we caught the mailman.
Yeah, is this the beginning?
We got what we wanted. We got the.
Is this the beginning or is this the end? Like, is this the middle? Like, come on, somebody throw me a bone here. And I think that's the madness part that I'm feeling right now, because I'm straight mad, because I'm like, I don't get what's going on. Like, is that, like, seriously, did that just happen or not? And who is this? And who is she? Who is that? What is what?
Looks cool.
You know what I'm saying? And finally, and this is like a personal thing, I love Sam Raimi as a director. I really do. Right?
I actually leaned over in the middle of the movie to say that to my wife. I was like, I love Sam Raimi.
Now,
I just love him.
And the thing about it is that I feel like Sam Raimi, every damn movie, he goes from zero to camp sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And this movie, he took it right to the edge and said, nah, I'm not giving you camp, player, but I'm giving you a whole bunch of spooky. And I appreciated that. Right. I really did. So it is this movie is the Sam Raimiest of Sam Raimiest. I feel like he is right in his Evil Dead pocket here. And I was here for it.
I feel like I almost agree with you, but I think it was parts of this movie were the Sam Raimiest of Sam Raimi's. But like, you know how like, we've seen how the Marvel process is. Like, they start doing previs on certain scenes and stuff before they ever get a director, right? Like, so like a lot of like the big action moments that happen like are planned out by a team of storyboard artists, and like,
they have
like,
the beats down,
and like the whole like, the collective, the Marvel MCU collective that is in charge of making sure everything is cohesive and stuff like that. And so normally this works really well when they go and get like, and I don't mean to insult them, but like no-name directors, right? Like directors that people have never heard of or have only had like one or two projects under their belt, like, right? Like Mohamed Diab, who did Moon Knight. Like, I love that show. I don't know what parts of it were Mohammed and what parts of it were Marvel Productions or Marvel Studios. And it's a seamless thing. It's a seamless, blurred together thing. I know exactly what scenes in Doctor Strange were Sam Raimi's. And I know exactly what scenes weren't. And that's what made it weird for me. The same goes for like the Danny Elfman of it, like it's because they're like a pair. They're like a pair together. And there are moments where it's like, that's Sam and Danny right there. And that's nuts. And I love it. But like, I think what made the movie weird for me is that it wasn't an entirely Sam and Danny movie. And I think normally for Sam's storytelling to work, you need to let him do it the whole way through. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so like you do need to embrace the camp and the horror, like to fuller extents. And so, and to the point where it's like, I wish you could turn that back, but like, it did feel like a restrained Sam Raimi. And I don't know that I liked that about it. So like, I'm on the fence because I loved the Sam Raimi-ness of it, but I hated that there was a Marveliness of it too, that was somehow opposing. And I know that that's not always the case, because I've seen 3 Spider-Man movies that were just Sam Raimi doing his bananas things, and 2 of them are really good.
One is god awful.
I don't think it's god awful, but I know a lot of people do. So
I don't know a lot about Sam Raimi and Sam Raimi isms aside from Spider-Man. But to Dennis's point,
hey, I told you months ago to go watch all the Darkman movies. What the hell?
Nope.
What? You didn't watch Darkman?
Of course I didn't watch fucking Darkman.
It's good, dude.
But there was that line in this movie of like, just visually and Yeah, I know he has the whole handheld camera thing that he does, and it's like it's very jarring, like the split. You know,
You
it's like
know,
almost watching like WandaVision. Not maybe WandaVision, not the best example, but like one of the longer MCU shows, and like when you start switching directors or shit like the Mandalorian, when you start switching directors, like it
Oh.
becomes very different.
you know how I knew it was a Sam Raimi movie?
Mhm.
As soon as that eyeball came out. There's always some sort of flying eyeball in a Sam Raimi movie. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And as
that
soon as
that
that eyeball came out, I was like, "Yep." As
that
a matter of fact, as soon as I saw that spear, I was like, "Go ahead, Sam, give it to us."
yeah.
Right on out.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen Drag Me to Hell, but like
Yes.
the scenes in other Wanda's home when she started realizing she was being taken over and like she's tripping balls and seeing stuff like and she looks down at her coffee cup or her teacup, whatever, and she just sees an ocean in there and like there was a lot of Drag Me to Hell, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of a weird one for me because I think Drag Me to Hell is one of the first Sam Raimi horror movies that actually implemented a lot of CG. And I didn't know how I felt about that at the time. And I was more accepting of it now because it's like, I don't want to know that Marvel Universe movies are doing practical effect. No, I don't think I want practical effects for that kind of shit in an MCU movie, you know? So I'm fine with it this time around, but it did remind me of Drag Me to Hell. Like there's so many moments through the whole movie that it's like, there's Darkman, there's Army of Darkness. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're just gonna keep
There's
doing all
Evil
this.
Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's Evil Dead. You know, like yeah, that was fun. But like, I think the big problem is like, while it was
It's very
a cool like museum of Sam Raimi tricks and camera like skill and all this stuff. What was the story of this
It's
movie?
see,
it's
and
so
and and, that-
weightless.
and that's it. Well, but is it though? Right? What I mean is, it's like.
Let me go get the Book of Ashanti really quick to answer your question. Oh wait, oh wait, never mind. It doesn't matter because it got burned.
It was, see, do those, we saw Reed Richards, or did we?
Yeah, we saw
It's
Avery Richards. We saw Avery
Exactly,
Richards.
like,
I
right? And so
I
that's what I mean, right? That's what I mean. It's like Fantastic Four is right around the corner. Everybody knows we want him to be Reed Richards. Was that Reed Richards?
I don't want him to be
I
Reed
don't.
Richards.
A lot of people do.
I
It
know a lot
felt
of people
like
do.
I
I
told
felt like
Dennis
that was
this.
a fan service moment.
Yeah, it felt
Right?
fancy. Like this felt like Free Comic Book Day.
Uh,
It's the comic you get that has a bunch of shit in it that looks cool, but it's
why
to
do
get you to buy the other stuff.
Yeah.
I get so like up in arms when people say fan service, because it's like,
I don't want to call
you're
it fan
supposed to
service though.
you're supposed
I
to get what you
enjoyed it.
want. You're
Then
supposed to
yeah,
get what you want.
that's fair. What I mean by fan service is I feel like, sorry, in this particular moment, what I mean by it is I felt like the fans willed that moment into existence. And that, like, I don't feel that he was in any way a good representation of Reed Richards. I didn't feel like he gave me any Reed Richards vibes at all. He gave me some good news vibes. Like I was like, hey, there's Jim Halpert. That's cool. But I didn't feel like he was smart. I didn't feel like he was cold a little bit. Like, you know, because Sue was the one that's supposed to bring the heart to the family.
Mhm.
I just felt like a warm hug from John Krasinski. And I don't think that's what I actually want from the Reed Richards that helped form an Illuminati. That guy's a dick. Like that guy's a super dick. All right. The entire Illuminati is a dick. But I felt like it was presented in a way that really was like, well, Mordo's a dick, you know, like, and that didn't feel right. I don't know.
It was, and then I had, this moment of crisis when I'm sitting here going, you got an Omega level mutant versus another Omega level mutant, and then then it's the Batman conversation. Well, who has time to prepare? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, there's no way. Like, if Professor X just saw her cancel like three people out of the Illuminati that he wouldn't have turned her lights off like quick, fast, and in a hurry, right? Like seriously, right? So it was, like I said, it it, it felt like empty calories.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were like, the reason why I'm emotionally tied to a lot of these movies is because the story matters. What matters here, right?
Nothing.
And even well, I don't know. No one knows.
Well, let's back up for a second. So the story starts with you being told that America Chavez is super important to the universe, and then being told, oh, by the way, all dreams are actually real. They're just somebody else is experiencing somewhere else. And you're like, okay, because I've had some gross ones, but like, but okay, that's fine. And then Doctor Strange, like he's starting to be a little humbled, but then he kind of forgets that and just is like, oh, we got to save this character. And then moments later, we find out, oh, apparently we have to save this character from Wanda. Because remember that show you watched where she felt remorse for doing this horrible thing to the town of Westview?
I got to speak to that.
But then she found a book that was evil. And so now she's just all about one thing, which is she wants her kids back. And apparently America Chavez is the way to do it. So that's the story. And they're going to go on a hunt for MacGuffins to try and like stop it.
Protect the MacGuffin.
But the MacGuffin isn't going to matter. And then the other MacGuffin's going to get burned up. But then they'll find another MacGuffin that's in a mountain that is the same name as a thing that fans should care about, but has nothing to do with it. And in the end, Wanda's going to be like, oh, I guess that was shitty of me. The end. Like, I don't know. That was the story. Like, that was the story. And so did it matter? Did it matter that we spent like a half hour in another world where we got to meet the Illuminati that is just, it was just like, Professor X wheels out in the chair that fans have always wanted to see him in. And you get a fun flashback of him in that same chair on Titan
in a suit.
And I'm like, okay, we're going to pause for a second to address Ricky. Ricky is so obsessed with the fact that Professor X is in a suit on Titan.
I'm just saying, if you go fight on Titan.
No. I get to finish saying what I'm saying. And yet you're not obsessed with the fact that he brought a full-on giant wheelchair to Titan when his powers are brain powers that he can project his psychic consciousness across the galaxy. Why bring him to Titan?
He's a hands-on kind of guy.
No, he's actually really not. He's really not.
He's the opposite.
But the fact that he decides to show up with the chair in a fucking suit, not the leather suit, but just a regular ass, like that's premeditated. He had to go to Titan.
What leather suit are you talking about?
Like the one from the movies. Like put on a battle suit, dude. Like
for what? What is he gonna do? Sweep the leg?
Exactly.
What is he gonna sweep the leg?
The alternative is put on a twill olive suit to go to space.
What as opposed to what, a onesie?
Like I don't know. It just looked weird.
What looked weird is a freaking giant yellow freaking wheelchair on a planet that clearly has no ramps.
The hover chair.
I know it's a hover chair, but that planet was wrecked, man. I don't know. Like I was like,
no business there.
He had no business there at all. I don't care what he's wearing. That's stupid. Don't shame a guy in a wheelchair for dressing comfortably. All right, that's how he likes that. Well, to him it is.
Yeah,
I've never seen him not wearing a suit in those X-Men movies, man.
So, look, once again, I feel like I don't know how to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I feel like, is this the beginning of something? Is this the end of a lot of things? Like, is this like the movie where all your fanboy hopes and dreams go to die? Like, shut up, finally, right? Like, we gave you this, be quiet, and it's over. Or I don't know. Is this the potpourri that we'll pull from forever? I don't know, right? And because I just don't know where all this sat. in the MCU.
Mhm.
Ultimately, you know, it just felt like, I mean, that was cool.
Was it cool?
Was it?
What
Exactly.
was the Wanda stuff cool to you? Did you like how they handled her character?
Um,
It's a pretty big
I
heel
did.
turn.
I did. I did. I felt, I was glad that I didn't know definitively. Like, for example, like she was going to be the heel. Um, you know, I try to go into most of these movies pretty ignorant about what's going on as much as I
Yeah.
could, and so when she said America, and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, like he never said her name, you know, and so I got there like super fast, and I usually don't. Like, for whatever reason, I like to be on a roller coaster to some degree in a
Yeah.
movie, and so that, you know, so yeah, that picked up to me. So yes, I feel like she was she was great, but I was also looking for a more ultimate expression of how badass she was in the whole scene where she's like assaulting, you know, the fortress. I
Mhm.
felt like, I mean, it's nice and everything, but like from a magic standpoint, I mean, couldn't she just rip that place to shreds? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
she was the one who said no more mutants. I was looking for something like that, something akin to that, so that they can, like, I don't know, go into fifth gear in the MCU. And I, you know, that's what I was really looking for. At the end of the day, I was
Mhm.
looking for them to wrap this up somehow, and then
And then spit
to,
out X-Men and Fantastic
Well,
Four, right?
it
or
starts out
something,
with her
yeah.
alignment being ambiguous, and it ends in the same.
Her alignment is not ambiguous, bro.
But hear
She
me out.
killed all of them. She killed like so many
But
people.
to Travis's point though, she is not like this uber omega thing yet.
Yes, she is. Yeah, do we not
She
watch
just does.
WandaVision?
She's just not. She just doesn't know it yet.
Did we not watch
It's
WandaVision? Like she created a superhero just by having her pass through her hex field.
Yep.
But
Like
it's like she's in a mopey state now again, right?
Mopey
Or
state.
whatever. Like at the end of this movie, she is
This
back
is
in the
why we were
same.
supposed to have a woman on this episode.
No,
See,
I'm not trying to. Like the movie ends and Wanda gets crumbled in the mountain, right?
no, she doesn't get crumbled. She
Is
chooses.
crumbled. Chooses to be
No,
crumbled.
she sacrifices herself.
She's not dead. Right, let's be real.
Well, yeah, for sure, but like she tried to sacrifice herself.
You know, you don't tell me the next time they see her, like we got to get her off the board. Like it is just on site with Wanda. That's how I come at that.
And that's what I have a problem with. Like it's
They don't.
not.
It doesn't feel like that.
No, it does feel like that. It does, but like I'm saying, was this fair to her character to be a person that was going through her grief in the last time we saw her, and working through all that, and to suddenly, you know, and to have like even that pep talk from Monica like towards the end, you know, like that does the logical leap then go from, oh, I get it. The only thing I need to get my kids back is I have to kill some random teenage girl. Okay. You know, like that, I felt like we weren't, just for the sake of the twist at the beginning of the movie where you find out that she's the bad guy, she's the heel. I felt like just to preserve that twist, we weren't given the chance to see that leap,
Develop, yeah.
that development in her character.
Well, see, the thing is, I guess what kind of made me go, I don't know if she's redeemable or not, is when she explained that she wanted to be with her kids, period, full stop, but under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the bridge too far, I thought, for me, is like, not only did she want to be with her kids, but she wanted the ability to continuously, forever and ever, make it fine, right? And I was like, that's where you go from grief to like greed in some weird way, where I feel like you have to be fundamentally flawed.
That's the line.
And I like the character, I guess, from the comics so much that I feel gross knowing that they took her and made her potentially irredeemable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that. Like, because I do like when in the comics they say, we got to take her off the board. But by that, we don't, like, some might mean kill, but like usually the story resolves where they realize she is redeemable, and so they don't have to actually take her off the board, or they pay horrible repercussions because they take her off the board, and then they realize maybe this Illuminati thing is a bad idea. Maybe we shouldn't do these kind of things. But yeah, like I want there to be a No More Mutants moment eventually, and I just feel like
you got to get them first.
Like is she past Darth Vader at this point? Like, is she so evil that, like,
yes,
I don't want to see the redemption? And I'm worried that that's the case, and I don't think that's fair. And the biggest reason I don't think that's fair is because I rewatched Doctor Strange, the first one this week, and I was really pleasantly surprised at like how well that movie holds up and how
it's
like
great.
It's really fun. Like, I think when I watched it back in the day, I was like, it feels exactly like Iron Man, which is not a bad thing, but it just feels like a clone of Iron Man. But watching it now with this many years removed, it's been 6 years, it was way easier to watch because we just don't have an Iron Man, and you know, Doctor Strange has grown a little bit, done cool things in other movies. But the thing that I really liked the most about that movie is it kept hammering in our heads the idea that this magic comes with a cost. Like, there's costs to everything they do. And that's actually what inevitably causes the split between Strange and Mordo, is when Mordo finds out that the Ancient One has been paying a cost like far too steep in order to preserve herself so that she can protect the realm. He's like, no, there's too many sorcerers. We got to start killing them, right? And so two things that I came away from that movie was, one, I can't wait till we finally get to see Mordo say the bill has come due, because that's his whole thing, right? He thinks everybody has to pay for this. Two, I can't wait to get more of Doctor Strange paying the cost too. And man, when I see that guy fill an empty glass with wine, I'm like, what the fuck is the cost? He just does whatever the hell he wants now. Like, I can forgive him tying a tie because I thought that was kind of a cute little reminder that he can't use his hands well. You know what I mean? But I assume that he's sacrificing like his left nut for tying that tie or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I assume there's cost. And so what really pissed me off about this movie from the story perspective, as far as that cost is concerned, is Doctor Strange was never really penalized for all of this dope magic that he used. But Wanda was constantly being shown progressing to a darker state. And I know they tried to blame that on the Darkhold, but I just didn't feel like it was fair to the character of Wanda, because like Doctor Strange did a lot of crazy shit. And there was one moment in that whole movie where I was like, yeah, he's going to pay a cost. And he tells Christine, he's like, hey, I need you to protect me from the souls of the damned, you know, because he's going to piss them off by hijacking a dead guy. And then he does it. And sure enough, the damned all come and they're super cool looking. And they're like, you better get out of that body. You suck. And then he gets a little pep talk from Christine. And then what he does? He turns those fucking spirits into an accessory. He turns them into a giant death shroud, which is the coolest looking shroud ever. Don't get me wrong. So I'm very conflicted, like Travis, through the whole time, because like they show me really cool shit that just looks so cool. But narratively, it just hurts me because I know that there was at times writers that cared about this shit and made a point of doing a 2-hour movie that explained that these things come at a cost. And dude, I'm gonna be. It's a hard convince to get me to believe that a third eye is his penalty for doing all this shit.
Yeah,
that's fucking cool. It's a cool third eye. Come on, man. Come on.
I mean, like, where are you gonna get contacts? I mean,
third option.
Just buy 2 pairs and keep a spare.
oh my god, it's probably a different prescription. Anyways,
I'm sorry for that
I mean,
rant.
maybe that's why he's not
that's why I felt.
he's not the Sorcerer Supreme yet again, right?
But it's not.
Well,
about,
technically, he isn't.
He isn't, but yeah, but you know, he's still arrogant, and I just did he. It's the same thing with Wanda in my book. Like, what is his arc in this movie? Like, what he's kind of in the same spot.
Well,
like,
I can answer that, and it's probably the only thing I actually liked about the whole
Mhm.
movie was the end. Like, I know I talked to you before about this, and you liked the first 2 acts better than the third. I actually liked the third act. Pretty much for me, the moment the movie got awesome was
Mhm.
when he said, "I never said it had to be a living body," and then he hijacks the freaking dead guy. That movie got nuts. It got bananas at that point. But like, here's the thing. What I really liked about that, and I'm not going to say it's the most beautifully executed, but was that speech that Christine gave him at the beginning about they never would have worked out because he always needs to be the one holding the scalpel.
Mhm.
And for him to finally recognize that the best way to save America is to trust that she can save herself. Do you know what I mean? And like, because like the whole conflict of the movie the entire time is, I can take your power and I can make this right, you know? But like, he finally relinquished that responsibility to the teenage girl. And that was his arc. I wouldn't say it was a great arc because it took a lot of fluff in the middle to get there. You know what I mean? But like, but that was his arc. Do you disagree, Travis?
No, I agree
completely.
Yeah.
On the topic of America, I really did enjoy her character. I just didn't care what happened to her because we don't know her.
I would love you to explain to me who she is as a person.
A cool teenager who can time jump.
Why is she cool?
Or multiverse.
You can't just cool.
She looks cool. She's a semi, I wouldn't say confident, but a spunky teen. Another spunky teen to fit the board who's well traveled. You know, she went to the multiverse.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is why Ricky is not in charge of pitch meetings.
No, I liked her character overall.
Travis, who was America Chavez in this movie?
Aside from a MacGuffin, like,
I mean, yeah, I mean, she was, you know, she had personality, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, no shade to the actress, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I am not in any way trying to disparage the actress.
But yeah, I mean, she was like a walking MacGuffin in it.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't care what happened.
You know,
if you didn't care what happened to her, that's bad. That's bad storytelling.
I cared about what happened to her, but you know, it was just I don't know. It was just she was just kind of hanging out. You know, it's just kind of there. You know,
yeah.
I mean, and the thing about it is like for me, and I know this might sound a little shallow, but I love it when like you hear someone's name and you know their ethnic background. Right, like that's for me, like you know, like when I heard Chavez, I was like, yes, not another white superhero. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you know, for me, and you know, and Homegirl can like jump through realities. Like that's a huge power, right? It's not like, oh, I have the power to make sparkles, like you know, some superheroes. You're like, really?
Yeah, but at the same time, like. I had never, ever heard of the Scarlet Scarab, and I was so much happier to meet the Scarlet Scarab in the last 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Because, like, even if her powers are dumb wings, like, I don't know. I got to know who that person was.
Yeah.
We didn't get to know who America was.
Yeah,
like, she would have worked 10 times better if she was in a movie 2 movies ago. She was in Shang-Chi. She was in Black, like, you know, if she would have had her entry somewhere else, that would have made this a much better movie just by that fact. But she just pops in, and the whole crux, right, is should Strange just take her powers and kill her, right, to fix it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point though, because like if we're not supposed to know whether or not we should care about all of the people in the other worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been told that we should at least care about America. So I think the movie owed it to us to make us care about her.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not only that, like when you consider like how much time Marvel spends on like their continuity and shooting things in a way, like I think they missed a golden opportunity with her to like, put her places that, of consequence, so that she could bear witness to that stuff. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So like you've got all this B-roll, like why not use it? When she was like, "Yeah, I was here.
She could have been there when Banner saw the explosion or something like that. You
Right,
know what I mean? Like
right.
she could have just been in other places that were similar to origins we've seen or stories we've seen, but different. You know what I mean? Same but different. Like they could have shown us. Like I felt like the Multiverse of Madness was like 2.5 places. Like you know what I
They
mean?
did a
Like
little quick time event.
So here's the
More than one
like
verse.
where does this leave us, right? Like once again, and maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on this, but I don't feel like I am. I don't feel like I am because I feel like one of the strengths of the Marvel universe in the movies is that there's enough of that there's enough of it rooted in source material that fans can go on a lot of different tangents about what might be happening next or what is currently happening in all those different things. And I think that's great. And I think that this movie just screwed with all of that.
Yeah. You know what
Right?
movie it
Like,
reminded
where do
me?
you go?
Are you excited for more Doctor Strange? Like it doesn't leave me wanting more. Like, oh yeah, I can't wait for Doctor Strange 3. Like
I on the scale of 1 to 10, I still think this movie to me is like a 7.5 or 8. Right? Because at the end of the day, the question that I will always ask myself was, did I have fun?
Yeah.
Okay, and I really did. And listen, if you haven't seen this movie in 3D, you need to see it in 3D. It was a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Like
the
it really
visual
was.
effects to me, like I had this argument with Ricky and Frank yesterday, but to me, they were the most fun, ambitious visual effects that I have seen in a Marvel movie. Like I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like I like the whole time. And I know I got a few moments of that in Infinity War where I was like, Crimson Bands of Sidorak, bolts of, like all these different things. But like this, I couldn't stop. Like, and not only as a Marvel fan, but like as a D&D fan too. Like the shit he was doing, like was just so amazing, and I just loved it. And I definitely was like, I can't believe I'm sober while I'm watching this right now. That's dumb. Why did I do that? Like that was stupid.
Can I say also, like Wong continues to be one of my favorite characters in the MCU.
I like
I
Wong.
I feel like he is such a better Sorcerer Supreme.
Is he though? Like, what did he do at the end of the movie? Like, what
his
did
job?
Yeah, he protected Carmitage, right?
I mean, no, he got captured, and then some other random sorcerers like, no, I can't let you do this, and she sacrifices herself to destroy the Darkhold.
And then he saved like 3 of them by taking her to Wundagore.
And then later on, there's just a scene where, like, several scenes where Wong is climbing a cliff, and I'm like, this doesn't seem like the best use of Wong right now. Like, I don't know, it just was like they just were like trying to find things for Wong to do until Doctor Strange got there. And I wasn't feeling him. I felt like Wong and Mordo really let me down from all the potential that they set me up with in the last movie.
Well, it wasn't your Mordo. Like we did not see that Mordo in this movie.
I know we got ripped off because Doctor Strange just expositioned Mordo, It said, "Oh yeah, he's been a pain in the ass for like years." I'm like, "What? You're gonna skip Chiwetel Ejiofor needs to quit. He just, I don't. He does not deserve that treatment, man. That guy is an amazing actor,
Well,
and he
that's
got
true.
wasted twice in those movies. Twice. I don't know. I was a little cranky about certain characters being sidelined so that Christine could like pep talk Doctor Strange as many times as she did, even though that's not his
Call
Christine.
it top billing, baby.
Yeah, I know. I know. Whatever.
Better
It's
agent.
fine. It's fine because as long as as long as we get a Charlize Theron as Clea, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did that do anything for you guys? Was that exciting to you?
I like Charlize. No.
Do you? You like Fast and the Furious movies too?
Yeah, she's in those.
Yeah, I know.
It was cool. Like, hey, Purple Lady.
I think I need to learn your definition of what it was cool means.
It was visually striking, and it had an actress that I knew. That's cool.
That's cool. Okay. So
Like,
as long as you can justify it, it becomes cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think a person
once again, that was probably the only thing that I felt like I could count on was that scene. Because
that was real. Yeah.
Well, because usually those end credit scenes are the connective tissue in between, MCU movies. And so when I looked at that, that was the first thing I was thinking to myself as I was like, okay, at least this part is real. I know.
Yeah.
Right. But then it was like, hey, something's going on. Let's go here. Okay.
He's all gung ho about it. Like he just jumps right in.
You and your third eye.
Yeah, he's got that third eye. He's ready to go. I feel like the thing that this movie has going against it and eventually for it is it feels like the Age of Ultron, where Age of Ultron could only age well as all the things it set up came to fruition. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem with this movie is it was just trying to set up more than anything else. It wasn't really telling a story, and that's why they went with a simple MacGuffin hunt. But they set up potentially X-Men. They set up Fantastic Four. They set up, the Illuminati. They set up incursions. They set up Secret Wars. They set up Battle Worlds potentially. They set up all these things that I know fans are really going to geek out over eventually. But like at the sacrifice of telling a fun story, like a meaningful story in itself. See, and that was Age of Ultron. That was Age of Ultron too.
I don't know whether or not I agree because you're saying, hey, they set up, and I'm thinking, are they sewing things up? Are they putting a bow on this? You know what I'm saying? Like that's
fair. At least with Age of Ultron, we knew those were things that were going to come. We knew, Thor's having Ragnarok dreams. I bet they're going to do Ragnarok. Because at the time of Age of Ultron, you could only go forward, right? Like that was where now you can go sideways, you can go backwards, you can go to animated shows, so yeah, I feel you in that it does feel different in the sense that is it over or are they just putting out plot threads to see who bites?
And I think that's what it is. Like honestly, as simple as that. It's like let's see what sticks.
Well, we said no, like seriously, like they just straight up said this is Universe 616. Mm-hmm. Like that wasn't like their hints hit at it.
Yeah,
they said it.
Right? Mysterio said it first.
Yeah, that's true. Right. This is your reality.
Yeah.
Right. And so. I don't know. Like I said, I just don't know how to feel. And for me, it's always this issue when it comes to this. Like, as a fan, like it does no good to speculate on things that don't have a shot in hell of actually happening.
For sure.
Okay, and so you just like you feel like I'm not going to even talk to
Entertain it.
my boys about this because I'll never see this on screen, right? And so you just try to take all of these, sort of hints and clues that MCU puts out in these different movies, and then we make shows and we talk about it and we do all that stuff, and and now I feel like I am no smarter coming
Yeah.
out of this than I was going in,
That's fair.
and that's tragic.
Yeah. I learned nothing about that entire universe. Like I didn't. That matters to the larger story. I saw cool things, and by cool I mean they were on the screen and they and I liked looking at them.
Yeah, that's
And,
my
and
baseline. Yeah,
it's not a baseline.
they look cool. They did cool things.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not disagreeing that they were
Well-
cool. I'm just saying like your baseline's pretty shit. Like I can't.
I'm don't yuck my yum. Back to the beginning comment.
I'm yucking your baseline, not your yum. You can
Okay.
still enjoy those things.
Yeah.
I'm just saying your
Yeah,
baseline.
Have a
so-
lower bar.
Yeah.
Speaking of
I'm
low bar,
shitting on your bar, not
Yeah.
the things you
Okay.
like. Yeah.
how was the pizza ball finale that you sat through to watch? Was that better or worse than a Hawkeye musical?
It was better than a Hawkeye musical because it was a punchline. It was a punchline to a joke that was established
So dumb.
earlier.
It's all it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But you love the musical.
I did love the musical. I just don't see why people hated the musical.
Because it was 4 minutes of the thing we already saw in the first episode.
Now you get to see all 4 minutes of it.
Yeah, we saw plenty of it the first time around. We saw about 3 minutes of it the first time around.
Yeah, so here's an extra minute.
With the other 3 still
Yeah.
all over again. Ricky, if you don't understand how that's
I
different
really don't.
than a 10
But I'm not
second
gonna
punchline.
continue arguing it. It's like
You were
it's
kinda
all
idiot. You
sprinkles.
started the
It's all
argument.
sprinkles. It's just I just want to get your taste on the sprinkles in this instance.
And the other reason I liked it is because I am a Sam Raimi fan and I understand that Bruce Campbell is a package deal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You do a
Yeah.
Sam Raimi anything, you get a Bruce Campbell.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure Sam Raimi's car was in that movie at some point too, because he puts that in everything also.
Yeah, it was in
So-
the what is it, incursion zone.
Oh, that makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah. I think we've talked about this for a long time. Do you guys have anything else that you want to say about this before we move on to saying our goodbyes? What's your final take on this? I mean, Travis already gave it a review. His
Yeah.
score.
Yeah. Like I said, I think sometimes we can run the risk of taking ourselves a little bit too seriously, taking all of this stuff a little bit too seriously, and forget to just have some fun.
Mhm.
And I think this movie, despite all of its potential, maybe plot holes or inaccuracies or things that just straight up don't make sense, it's still pretty damn fun. And I when you say Doctor Strange and you say Sam Raimi,
Mhm.
this was the sandwich that I was expecting. Could it have been better? Yeah. And it could have had some resonance, and it could have had, and it still might, right? So in retrospect, maybe this movie does set up a lot of cool things. I don't know, or but as it stands now, I was still highly entertained. I think that people should go see it. I think that for Marvel doing a horror movie, this was a fantastic first step. So yeah, I mean, despite like I said, all the things that we were sort of poo-pooing, I'd still see it again.
I'm
In
going to
3D?
see it again on Sunday.
See it in 3D.
All right, I might do that.
It's worth it.
I'll agree with you though. It's a fun movie. It's like, imagine every MCU movie is a roller coaster in a theme park. We rode them all right already, and we have a half hour before the park closes, and we get to ride one more again. I don't know if I'm gonna ride this ride again. I had fun with it. I love the moments. I love the ups and downs, the hills, the peaks, the valleys. But I might go pick another ride, and that's fine.
That's fair.
You know, that's fine. We're 20 something rides in at this point. They're not all gonna be bangers, and I think we didn't talk about it, but like, you know, this is coming off a pretty good Spider-Man movie, who also had a Doctor Strange in it. So I don't know if there's even like a level of fatigue there, but it was a good, solid MCU movie. You know, not a great one, and that's okay.
What do you consider a not solid MCU movie?
The Dark World.
I knew he was gonna pick it.
But that's all anybody says.
Low hanging fruit. Black Widow.
So,
I don't think Black Widow's a
you
solid.
don't think
MCU.
really?
No.
I think Black Widow was better than this movie by a lot. By a lot, it was better than this movie.
I could see the argument for it has a better, more cohesive plot, or more thought-provoking plot.
It has character development.
Yeah.
When you go to see a movie that's called something based on a character, you hope that character experiences things that you can relate to and that you can grow from, and he can grow from, or she can grow from. And so when Marvel is in the business of making stories that are called Spider-Man or Doctor Strange or Black Panther or Shang-Chi, I that's my bar, is how much does this movie make me care about these characters? And I feel like I do want to say something just to be clear. As much as we have been poo-pooing on certain parts of this movie, I understand that I am from an awesome point of privilege here, that, you know, as much as I complain about these things, it is super freaking cool that I have the opportunity to get on this show and complain to you guys about the sequel to Doctor Strange. Do you know what I mean? There was a time in my life when I never even imagined this could happen. And so I totally understand that. Like, it's the sequel to Doctor Strange. You know what I mean? Like,
so
the
awesome.
fifth piece of Doctor Strange content we've gotten, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, yes, I did enjoy a lot of things throughout the movie. Like, I will never say I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, when they say the Baxter Building, I'm like, oh shit, you know, like even when they rip Mr. Fantastic to stretchy shreds, like, or snap Patrick Stewart's neck, or do all of these awesome, hilarious things that have no meaning at all in the story itself. They're just meaningless completely. Like, it is kind of meta. And back to my point that I mentioned earlier today, is that it's meta that my biggest complaint is the lack of character development. Because, like, if you really think about, like, all the comics, like we talked about earlier, there's thousands of issues where those characters barely ever grow. They barely ever change. And the only ones that we always use as our Bibles, as our this is why you should like this character, are very select stories that resonated with us. And we forget, we mentally block all of the other shit issues that we had to go through, that were meant to just read them so that they can get numbers on their books. You know what I mean? There's so many issues that they just have to sell. And so that's what this was, right? Like, because if we're always saying that they're applying the comic strategy to movies, it did cool things. It looked cool, and it had a lot of things you've probably never seen before. But you know, if you're going for story, this is maybe not the one to do. If you're going for I want to see this high as fuck in 3D, you should probably see this movie.
40X.
Yeah, 40X. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where I sit with this movie. Is I give it like a 7-ish, like, maybe, you know, like it's I've seen worse things, like Thor: The Dark World, but I've seen better things like Black Widow. You know what I mean? Like, or most of the MCU. most. I put this one really low on my list of MCU movies. But that said, I like all MCU movies to a certain extent, so they're fun. Yeah. That's my 82 cents or whatever. But yeah, I think we should probably wrap this up, guys. So, I had fun. I do want to say thanks to Travis and Ricky for, taking the time out of their evenings on Friday night to nerd out with me. Just for anybody tuning in and curious what we're doing next, we're going to take next week off, just a little break. It's been a lot of nerd content for a while, and we're just going to take that week off, but we'll be back in 2 weeks to revisit a classic that is, has some relevance now. And I use the term classic very loosely. We're going to watch the old school Tim Story Fantastic Four.
Hell yeah.
And we're just going to probably shit on that movie for a good hour or so. So like, if that sounds fun to you, come hang out with us. But yeah, we'll do it. I like to go revisit the classics because it makes me more appreciative of the stuff that we have now.
Classics.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome to join us if you want to watch that one again, Travis. Or not, whatever. But yeah, thanks to our patrons for supporting our growth and to our audience for tuning in. Even our friend Dark Sage, who we never heard from again.
No,
I'm really good at burning our new fans, aren't I?
Yeah.
Like Travis watched me when I burned the Moon Knight a few weeks ago too, man. Just because I mentioned that Moon Knight looks like a clan member, I don't know.
We scared him away.
Yeah. But just know if you're out there listening or watching Dark Sage that we do appreciate you and we appreciate all your comments. And remember, if you liked what you saw, or maybe even if you didn't, like and subscribe and check us out on Patreon for our after show, which we're going to be going to right now, the Soapbox. And yeah, I think that's it. Unless Travis or Ricky, you got anything you want to plug before we go?
Nothing.
No, I'm good.
All right. We'll see you next time on Den Excelsior, true believers. Enough said.